everyone, and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new Powercolor Hellhound 6700 XT. Now they don't just come in white, but I have the white one. I have the white one where the fans are white LED as well, but they do a black version where I think they've made quite a strange choice of having a fixed blue LED. I personally probably would have made it red or even RGB, but for whatever reason they've gone with blue, so you're going to have to deal with that. I think a lot of you at home are probably just going to be more happy about the fact that you possibly managed to buy one. On the topic of buying one, $449 is the price that I've got. That is the only price that I've got. They've not given me a GBP. It's all going to come down to the prices that the e-tailers then decide to try and pass on. They are saying they're not short of stock, but we'll see how quickly they get snapped up on the day. I know a lot of you are going to be saying about, oh, it's kind of already gone and already sold out, but I'm going to try and cover this for those of you that either A, might get lucky enough, or B, in the hope of, in a short amount of time, we might get back to normal with graphics cards again. So then peeps, I know it is a strange background at the moment, but we are in a bit of a transition in the office at the moment. There is a bit of echo, and that is because it is very empty at the moment. But I am making some changes to hopefully make things look for the better moving forward. But the Hellhound itself, as I said, I've got the white one, but they do a black one. It does come with two 8-pins on it. And you will need two 8-pins as well, because obviously the graphics cards can be a little power hungry when you really push them or start to overclock them. I can say though that this card has an 186 watts power target, but the VRMs are actually capable of 220 watts, and that's through 10 phases with an 8+2 from Dr. Moss. The cooler itself has two 100mm fans on the outside with a 90mm fan on the inside. Now those fans will only spin up when the graphics card has actually pushed past a 60-degree limit, meaning for all the light use when you're on the desktop, watching videos, pretty much most of the time, other than gaming or doing anything that utilises the graphics card cores, it's going to sit there and be completely silent. It does have a cutout on the back plate, which they Powercolor have been using for quite a few years now, but obviously because of the way that Nvidia recently started putting fans on the other side and all that sort of stuff, the other manufacturers have kind of copied. And that's not me saying that Powercolor has copied. I'm kind of saying that Powercolor were doing it before, and now things have kind of caught up and it's almost like an industry standard now. The light, the eye on the back of the back plate does not go off, but there is a power switch for the fan LEDs on the PCB itself, meaning you can switch the fan LEDs off. So if, for argument's sake, you don't want the light, or it's in a vertical way, or for whatever reason you have an option there. I'd kind of say it's a little bit of a shame that the switch wasn't a performance mode switch to enable more power or stuff, because at the end of the day it was more, when it came to clock speeds, it was more of an OEM kind of setup, and that was the way that they intended it as well. The PCB with the VRMs and the 5 6mm heat pipes and that massive cooler are to make this the best of the 6700 XT itself, but the actual clocks on it are very much just OEM clocks. Headroom with it, I will say that with the AMD cards you can get a little bit of tweaking, but you're kind of almost better off leaving the auto boost and everything to kind of do its job. And when you do bring the clock speeds up, it in the graph that we've got here, it didn't actually do too well. Normally with this graph, I would say that the average is the most important thing, and that's pretty much indicative of how it's going to perform in the games. But the one thing that I will say with this is the performance numbers are a pretty mixed bag. Some of the games have done really well because of driver optimizations. Some of the other games, it's just kind of a bit meh, and it really depends on whether it's an AMD focused game or not. So the Witcher itself, it sits about where I would have expected it to done, a little bit above the Radeon 6700 XT, but then below the overclock models that I have tested, and these are the only cards I have tested, so they're the only ones in the graphs. So you've got the Gigabyte one, and then you've got the XFX at the top. Now the XFX 319 Merc was an expensive card with massively high static out of the box overclocks, so it's actually done kind of well here. I didn't, however, when I talked to you about the VRMs and all that sort of stuff, say to you about the thermals itself, and it's an incredible card for thermals. To fit it, forget it. It's the temps are at the bottom, but I hardly heard it, like, at all. The other fans in the system just kind of overrun it. So it's an incredibly quiet card, and that was with no custom fan profiles. That was literally just left to its own devices, and to the point where people are going to say, well, how loud was it? If I was to test it now, you'd hear the rest of the system. So it's incredibly quiet. Obviously, they're on passive mode now, but when it was running, you would genuinely hear the 320mm fans in the roof. I would have had to have disabled those to have got a read-in, but if I disable those and you don't get the airflow, it's a bit of a catch-22 situation. Anyway, moving on, more game results. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, it did really well on. Now, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, when you see the even like the 6800 XT 319 that we tested, what I'm going to say is they were the results when we tested that card for the review. The reason why we don't go back and retest everything is, if you think of it, we wouldn't be able to have all of those results. It also gives us an idea on where the performance in the games and in the drivers are being pushed forward as well. So yes, we do look a little bit historically, but it also gives us a chance to see where things have gone. And one of the things I will say with this is Shadow of the Tomb Raider has definitely had some good performance patches going on. The Microsoft Flight Simulator, this is one of the ones I will say it just sits where I would expect. A little bit below the original Radeon, was a bit of a surprise. Went back, run it a couple of times just to make sure it spat out the same numbers every time. A weird one though. Now I know F1 2020 is very, very AMD focused, but I was surprised to see it this AMD focused. So if you're a player of F1 2020, make sure that you've updated your graphics card drivers, because it's going to make some huge differences. Now I do want to be very clear, if you were to go back and run the 6700 XT 319 Merc again, it would probably be very much in front. But this gives you an idea on how things have moved forward, and also like the way they were at launch to the way that they are now is very, you know, they've come a long way. So it's really nice to see that AMD have been working really hard on the drivers and actually making some decent steps forward with the developers that they have teamed up with. Now, I know with a graphics card at the moment, it's a bit of a tough thing to want to sit and watch a review on, because it's not like normal times we can just nip to the shops or nip online and you can actually buy the card that you want. I understand that, but if you're lucky enough to be able to be given the choice, you get the option of a white or a black one. You're not going to be excessively overcharged for the privilege by Powercolor themselves, but it's all going to come down to the e-tailer that you maybe get it from. If you're thinking about like going the eBay route, then obviously you could be bent over, lubed up and really taken for the privilege, but let's hope that you manage to get one of the normal ones. My thoughts on the card, it's a shame that they didn't have a mode that they could have had an auto overclock on. I don't think this is going to be, I think this is like an entry level card from Powercolor, and I think they are going to have some ones that come higher up. So I think this one's almost being held back by them themselves. You might get lucky with an overclock. Sadly, because of the time that we had to spend and the fact that I actually only had my COVID vaccine yesterday, and I found out the NDA for this was, when you watch this, I knew for 24 hours. So I've literally had to rush it out. So we've just fitted it and done it. But then for a stock card, that's kind of where you're going to want to go with it anyway. Silicon lottery and your own kind of abilities with overclocking are going to depend how much further you get to go with it. But at the end of the day, that cooler is very, very capable. For me, I actually really like the look of it. It's probably one of the cleanest cards I've seen in a long time. Now, I personally like white hardware anyway, but even if it was the black one, I'm straight in there with thinking about painting the graphics card and painting the shroud and making it match any other system out there. I think the black one is a hard sell with the blue fans because then you're very, very focused. But again, with the market as it is at the moment, some people are just going to be happy that they've got a graphics card rather than going out there and picking a specific design that's going to meet in their system. So it's all going to mean what you guys want at home. Let's just hope that the things with graphics cards settle down over the next weeks and months so that we actually start to be able to make a choice, and then the scalpers don't get to make all that crazy money. But anyway, for now, at least, this is the Powercolor 6700 XT Hellhound. I really like it. My only negative is I wish they had a performance mode on it. But for now, at least, this is the tiniest one with another video for you out. And we will be back very soon with a new look. Ding! Love you, sis. No, Knobs, don't run away, don't run away. Knobs. Nope. She saw the camera, she's like, nope, not having any of that. I'm going to go and sit on the blue light. Normally when they're flat, that blue one's the one that she actually sits on. Finished? Right, okay, just going to watch from over there.